Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we shall be taking questions today related to the topic of fasting and any other questions that you might have, inshallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa usalli wa usallimu ala al-mab'uthi rahmatan lil alameen. وقدوة للعاملين ومحجة للسالكين وحجة على العباد أجمعين بعثه الله بالإيمان ناديا وإلى دار السلام داعيا أما بعد أيها الأحبة. We are continuing with our lecture series regarding the issue of fasting. There are groups of people who are given reprieve from fasting. They are allowed not to fast permanently or temporarily and pay later. Either permanently not allowed to fast, or they temporarily not fast and pay later. So we shall look at these groups of people, from the people who are sick, the people who are travelers, the ladies who are pregnant or breastfeeding, the people who are performing the ibad of jihad, and so on and so forth. A mistake before we start our lecture. Someone is going for Umrah in the month of Ramadan. He's booked his ticket, he knows his flight is tomorrow. When Ramadan, he knows his flight is tomorrow. So what they do, some of them, is that they take their breakfast. They say, today I am a traveler, I take my breakfast because I'm traveling. Then they reach the airport, and to the shock of their lives, and it happens very many times, is that the trip is cancelled. The flight is cancelled. So they have eaten on a day that they should have been fasting. So they have made a mistake. What mistake have they done? They broke their fast, yet they had no excuse for breaking their fast. They were not yet considered as musafir. Because many are living in the mosque, and this is a mistake that many people do. You cannot take the rulings of a musafir until you become a musafir confirmed. Are together? The first category of people, ikhwani fillah, that are allowed to break their fast is the sick person. The person who is sick. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. And there's no khilaf amongst the Muslims with regards to this issue. What is the sickness that gives you this exemption from fasting the month of Ramadan? The first issue, ikhwan fillah, is the sickness will increase if you fast. If you are afraid, ikhwan fillah, that the sickness that you have is a severe sickness, it will increase even more if you fast, or it will become very difficult for you to fast, then you are allowed to break your fast. You are allowed to break your fast based on the evidences from Surah Al-Baqarah. فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرَ. Whoever amongst you is sick or is traveling, then they can pay on other days. The next issue, ikhwan fillah, is a person is very sick. If they fast, they will definitely die. What is the ruling on such a person? Now, what is the ruling on such a person? Now, it is haram for them to fast. It's haram for them to fast. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Do not kill yourselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى تَهْلُكَ. Do not put your hands for your destruction. So, ikhwani fillah, a situation that becomes haram for you to fast. Also, ikhwani fillah, if you're in a state of hunger and you're going to die as a result, then you come upon something that is haram for you to eat, like a pig or a dog and such. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to eat it, but do not eat it to your fill. Do not eat to your fill. Eat what is sufficient to regain your energy. Type. What if you have a small sickness? You're just coughing or a headache. Does that allow you to break your fast in Ramadan? You have just you have some sneezing or some cold or some flu. You're allowed to break your fast? No. It is the fast that harms you. If you're going to fast and that fasting is going to harm you or increase your disease, then you're allowed to break your fast. The next issue, ikhwan fillah, we have so many issues before the questions. The person who is sick and they expect that they will get better in the future. A person is very sick, they are not able to fast this year, or these 2 years, or these 3 years, then they are allowed to break their fast and eat, but when they get better, they must pay their fast. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. Whoever amongst you is sick or is traveling, then they pay other days. This verse is very clear, it does not say the period of sickness. You can be sick for a day or 2 days or 3 days or 5 years, 10 years. As long as you get better eventually, or you're going to get better, you must pay those days, regardless of the number of years that you're sick. So someone is sick 5 years, 10 years, they have not fasted, the siyam is still obligated upon them. They can't say we are feeding now. The obligation is still upon them because that's a sickness that they recover from. The opposite is a person who is very sick, a sickness that they do not expect to recover from. Such a person, they feed every day a poor person 1.5 kgs of the staple food. A person who is very sick, terminal sickness. Someone has leukemia, for example, has cancer that prevents them from fasting, that is progressive, or has a disease that's really progressive, and it's a terminal sickness. The doctors say you have X number of years to live. Such a person, they're allowed to feed. But not all terminal diseases are the same. We have some diseases that have appeared, like these STDs and this AIDS and so on and so forth. 20 years ago, it was very terminal. But with the progress of medical, you find people who have AIDS living for 20, 30, 40 years. Such a person should still fast if they're able to fast. They cannot say that is a terminal disease. Yes, it's a terminal disease, but you're going to live or outlive many of us. You're going to outlive many of us, probably. So that does not qualify. The terminal diseases are the diseases they're told you have 2 years to live, 3 years to live, or something of that sort. And fasting is very difficult for you. If a person who is sick decides to fast, is the fast accepted? Easiest question. Someone is very sick, but they want to fast, and they fast. Is their fast accepted? Easy question. That's a question for babies. Yes, their fast is accepted, even if they force themselves. What if they get well during the day? Do they continue with their fast, or they're allowed to break their fast if they wish? They must continue with their fast. They no longer have that reason that allows them to break their fast. A person who is sick can decide to fast. Then 3 hours, 4 hours later, says it's too difficult for me, I'm not able to. Then he can break a fast, no harm. But if they are sick and they get well during the day, they must continue finishing their fast unless there's another reason whereby their life becomes threatened because of another reason, maybe extreme fast or something of that sort. The next issue, that is the person who is sick. We have finished all the issues. So if a person gets well during the day, a person who was sick, they were not eating, they were not fasting, then they get well during the day. The two groups we mentioned before, some of the scholars, they say the remainder of the day they should not eat or drink. But this is not the correct opinion. The opinion of Imam Malik and Imam Shafi'i, they say there's no benefit to prohibit that person from not eating or drinking. It does not benefit. It does not count as a Ramadan, neither does it bring any other benefit. So they can eat and drink, but not openly or publicly. The next issue, is the person who's allowed to break their fast is also the traveler. يجوز للمسافر أن يفطر وذلك باتفاق المذاهب الفقهية الأربعة. It is allowed for the traveler to break his fast, and this is the opinion of the four madhabs: the Hanafiya, the Malikiya, the Shafi'iyya, and the Hanabila. The Hanafiya, the Malikiya, the Shafi'iyya, and the Hanabila. Question: why do the books of fiqh keep these names in this order? They started with Hanafiya, Malikiya, Shafi'iyya, Hanabila. Why do they keep it in this order?
Because Hanafiya came first, and then Malik was next, and then Shafi'i was next, and then Imam Muhammad was the last.
Excellent. Because of the years of their deaths. Imam Abu Hanifa died first, then Shafi'i, then Malik, then Shafi'i, and then Ahmed. We have, mashallah, very many people in the mosque. We'll give a present, inshallah. I'll give you one of my books, inshallah. Who knows the years that these imams passed away? The years that these four great imams of fiqh They passed away. Muhammad is laughing. I can see him laughing. Who knows? They get a present, inshallah. The years of these 4 imams when they passed away. Are you sure? If you get wrong, you bring a book. Yeah, who knows? Let's memorize together. And don't forget after today. It's very important to memorize al-wafayat, the deaths of scholars. Imam Abu Hanifa, he passed away in the year 150 of the Hijri calendar. The year 150 of the Hijri calendar. The year 150 of the Hijri calendar. Are we together? This is the same year, for benefit, that Imam Shafi'i was born in Gaza. Imam Shafi'i was born in Gaza. So Imam Abu Hanifa, Nu'man bin Thabit, passed away in the year 150 of the Hijri calendar. Imam Malik ibn Anas, the Imam of Medina, passed away in the year 179 of the Hijri calendar. The year 179. So there's a difference of 29 years between 150 and 179. He died in the year 179. Can see people are memorizing. The next Imam is Imam al-Shafi'i, Imam Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i rahimahullah. He passed away in the year 204 of the Hijri calendar. 204. How old was Imam Shafi'i when he passed away? Just for benefit. No, 63 was the Prophet, Abu Bakr, Umar, Aisha, and others. How old was he? He was 54. He was born 150 and he passed away at 204. He was 54. So Imam Shafi'i, Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i, passed away in the year 204 of the Hijri calendar. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal al-Shaybani, rahimahullah, he passed away in the year 241 of the Hijri calendar. 241 of the Hijri calendar. So this is how the scholars, they arrange the names. Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal al-Shaybani. Which year did Imam Malik pass away? Who can say all 4? Who is ready for the test? Let me start with you. You ready? Bismillah. And I'm going to trick you. Which year did Imam Ahmad pass away? Don't cheat. Man ghasha falaysa minna. 241. No, he gave answers. The answers been flown around. 241. Imam Abu Hanifa? 179. Wrong. Next one. Right hand. Bismillah. You ready? Imam Shafi'i. He dead. Which year? 5, 4, 3, 204. Imam Ahmad? 5, 4, 241. Imam Shafi'i? Imam Ahmad? Imam Malik? Imam Shafi'i? Imam Bukhari? He's copying. No, don't accuse him of things you're not aware. Imam Abu Hanifa? Are you copying really? You can't be copying in a mosque. No way. Who else can do it? Last person. Then you go to the people on the right. Imam Shafi'i. Imam Ahmed. Imam Malik. Imam Abu Hanifa. Imam Malik. Imam Ahmed. Imam Bukhari. Last one. Imam Shafi'i. Imam Ahmed. Imam Abu Hanifa. Imam Malik. These are the 4 great imams of the madhab. So you're allowed as a Muslim to break your fast because of travel. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. The next issue is, what is the ruling of a person who is traveling and the travel is not difficult for them? Should they fast or should they break their fast? Which one is better? Should they break a fast or should they fast? Understood the issue. You're traveling from Mombasa in the month of Ramadan. You're allowed to break your fast. But which one is better? To eat or to fast? This is an opinion, an issue the scholars have differed upon. The first opinion, they say, the majority of the scholars, as-sawmu afdalullah, fasting is better for them, and this is the madhab of the Hanafiya, the Malikiyya, and the Shafi'iyya. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَن تَصُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ إِن كُنتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. And fast is better for you if you knew it. The second opinion is the opinion of the Shafi'iyya, of the Hanabila. The Prophet ﷺ says, لَيْسَ مِنَ الْبِرِّ الصَّوْمُ فِي السَّفَرِ. It is not from piety to fast when traveling. So the scholars have differed based on these two hadiths. But the correct opinion, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, is that goes back to the state of the person. A particular person, it will be best for them to fast, and another person, it will be best for them to break their fast. So it goes back to the particular person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. What is the ruling of a person who travels and they wants to fast, but that fast is very difficult for them? They're insisting on fasting, but there's travel, and that travel is difficult, and the fast will be difficult for them. What is the ruling for them? He's allowed to fast, but it's preferred for him to break his fast and to pay it later. Some people find it difficult to pay it later. It's difficult to be alone to do an act of worship. You rather have a group of people that you associate with. So some people find that difficult. But it's best for you not to keep yourself in a state that will harm yourself or destroy yourself. What about the person who is a pilot or the truck driver? Every single day they're on the road with a trailer, or they're flying every day, including the month of Ramadan. What should they do? They should fast. Why is they're allowed, based on the ayah, on the verse, they're allowed to break their fast? Why are you forcing them to fast? It's constantly on the road. They're allowed to break their fast, but they should find a period where they will pay back that fast. They should find a period in their lives. They will take 21 days off, maybe if they follow the contracts of our country, or whatever period. They'll have to find a day. I don't think they'll be traveling constantly for the next 10, 20 years. Even if their sum continues to pile up, they still have to pay. They still have to pay. Type. The next issue, is the person who breaks his fast as a traveler. Of course, they have to pay it later, the number of days they have missed. The mistake that people do is the issue of the airport. The day of Umrah, you're going to the airport. Your flight is at, let's say, 12 p.m., noon, or 1 p.m. So that day they take the breakfast. The day of Ramadan. They have put on the ihram, or they have worn normal clothes. They go to the airport. Then the flight is cancelled. Are you together? So they have missed a day of Ramadan, and they had no reason to miss that day, honestly. The scholars, they say, one of the rules, they say, Al-hukmu yaduru ma'illatihi wujudan wa adama. Every ruling in Islam that has a reason, that reason has to be present for that ruling to be present. That reason has to be present for that ruling to be present. So the reason of you breaking your fast is travel. That travel has to be there. And travel does not start when you started the travel, is when you have left the area that is considered your residence. Whatever is considered the area of residence, be it, some scholars say 80 kilometers, you have come out of your residence at a distance of 80 kilometers, you're no longer a resident, now you're a traveler. So you have to ensure, that you have started traveling for you to start breaking your fast, for you to start shortening your prayers. It's easy, if you shorten your prayers. For example, you are living at the time of Dhuhr. Then you pray Dhuhr 4 rak'ah, then you pray Asr 2 rak'ah. You go to the airport, you're told the flight is cancelled. You come back home, you pray Asr, of course, 4 rak'ah. You have no reason. That 2 rak'ah did not count, honestly. You're not a traveler for you to pray that too. So if you make this mistake with Salah, it's easy to pay back. But if you eat, how are you going to pay back? You're going to start your fast from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. You're going to compensate 4 hours behind you and 4 hours in front. It does not work. It does not work like that. Type. إذا سافر أثناء النهار رمضان, when a person travels during the day of Ramadan, وخرج من بلده. You see this condition, he says, and they have left their residence, their area of residence, فله أن يفطر. Then they are allowed to break their fast. If a traveler, you have come from travel, you have gone for Umrah also. You have reached Nairobi at 12 p.m. You're a traveler, you ate the food in the plane, they had good breakfast, you're in business class, you don't want to leave that meal. For whatever reason, you broke your fast. You're a traveler, you're allowed to break your fast. You reach Nairobi at 12 p.m. You're no longer a traveler, you're now a resident. What are you supposed to do the remainder of the day? You have 7 hours or so to the time of iftar. One group of scholars, the Hanabila and the Hanafiya, they say, the Hanafiya and the Hanabila, Abu Hanifa came before Ahmed, so the Hanafiya and the Hanabila, they say, يجب عليك إمساك بقية اليوم. You have to not eat the remainder of the day to respect the month of Ramadan. But the strong opinion is the madhab we follow in Kenya, the madhab of Imam Malik and Imam Shafi'i. We follow the madhab of Imam Shafi'i. So the madhab of Imam Malik and Imam Shafi'i says, there's no benefit for you not to eat the remainder of the day. You can continue. You're a person who broke his fast for a valid reason, so you can continue the day with a broken fast. Then you pay that days or the days you've missed because you were traveling. Remember, if you have any questions, you can just send to my number. I'm seeing a number of questions coming. Type. Some people, Ikhwani Fillah, they get sometimes shy to break their fast because they traveled in such a comfortable means. You travel from here to where? To Mombasa, 45 minutes. Are you allowed to break your fast? It's just 45, 50 minutes. Yes, you're allowed to break your fast regardless of the nature of your travel. So it's your wish. If you want to break your fast, you break your fast. If you want to fast, you fast. There's no harm for you. It doesn't matter because of the ease of the safar that you had or the form of traveling that you had, that affects your decision. Whatever decision you make, it's up to you. You're the person who is in charge of you. You're in charge of you. Type. What is the ruling of an old man or an old woman who are not able to fast? It is allowed for an old woman or an old man who are not able to fast that they feed every day a poor person 1.5 kgs. So they break their fast, but they have to pay 1.5 kgs, the old men and the old women who are not able to fast. Because now, if they're not able to pay, that's another issue we'll discuss inshallah. But they're supposed to pay 1.5 kgs. So how much does that come to in Ramadan? 45 kgs. What food are they supposed to give out to the miskin? The staple food. The staple food. What is staple food example? Rice, flour, barley, millet, sorghum, spaghetti. All this is dates. All these are staple foods. You can give it once or you can give it in bricks. Questions come after class, inshallah. No problem, we'll ask. Type. The next issue, Khanifillah, is the issue of, we said they feed how much? 1.5 kgs every day. That's a sa'. Half a sa'. Type. The lady who is pregnant or she's breastfeeding, she has two states. Either when she's breastfeeding or when she's pregnant, she's afraid for herself or she's afraid for her baby. Both of this is the same, honestly. Regardless of her being afraid for herself or her baby, she's allowed to break her fast and to pay it later. And the only thing she pays back is the days that she has missed. Some scholars, they say that this lady who was pregnant or who was breastfeeding, if she breaks her fast, she must pay that day and also feed a poor person. But this is contradictory to the laws of fiqh that we have. You cannot have al-badal wal-mubdal minhu in one ruling. You cannot have fasting, it's either one or the other. You cannot have fasting and feeding. It's either one or the other, it's not both. You can't have wudu and tayammum. It's either wudu or tayammum. You can't have something that is the alternative and you combine both. So the woman who is pregnant or is breastfeeding, she's afraid for herself that she might get harmed or she might die, or her blood will go down or something, or her child that she's breastfeeding or in her womb will get harmed. Then she can break her fast and she pays later. What about the lady who every single year she is pregnant and she gives birth every year? she can break her fast, but she has to pay. Similar to the truck driver who is constantly on the road. Similar to the sick person who has been sick for the last 3, 5, 7 years. فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. Pay it later, regardless of the number of days. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not restrict and say its maximum is of qada is 30 days or 60 days. فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. طيب. The Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, he says, إن الله تبارك وتعالى وضع عن المسافر شطر الصلاة وعن الحامل والمرضع الصوم أو الصيام. هذا حديث رواه الترمذي والنسائي وابن ماجه وأحمد وهو حديث حسن صحيح. So the lady who's pregnant or breastfeeding, she just has to pay the day she's missed of Ramadan, regardless of her fearing for herself or for her child. The person who was very difficult form of employment, a person who works in construction, for example, maybe in Dubai or in Qatar, or a person who is in the petroleum, on the mining, or an industry that's very difficult, that is very physically intensive, or working in the Sahara, or he's a footballer, or he's in a marathon, whatever, anything that is that has a lot of exhaustion. Is that person allowed to break their fast? Understood the question? You have the Nairobi marathon in Ramadan, this much. Running a marathon is how many kilometers? About 42 or so. Are you allowed to break your fast because you're running a marathon? Is there a reason that you're allowed to break your fast? Who says yes? Who says no? Yes. Is there a sickness there? Or is there travel there? No. So they are not allowed to break their fast. Unless they reach a situation in their work that now it becomes an issue of life and death, then they can break their fast therein. Not because of the nature of the work, because of the state they are in. They're in a state where if they don't eat or drink, it will be their death. Are you together? So the work itself is not a reason for you to break your fast. But if you reach a state, you are working in Qatar, building the World Cup stadiums, for example, they are saying, the heat is intense, you work, even Ramadan. But you reach a state where you cannot, you fear for your life. Therein you're allowed to drink and eat. بِقَدْرِ الْحَاجَةِ. Just what is sufficient to bring back your soul. You finish that day, although that day has already gone, then you pay it back. But it's not for you working a difficult job. You say, I work a difficult job, I'm a doctor, or I'm a teacher, or I have exams. Some people have told me I have exams, you can't fast. The exam of Akhirah is greater. So the issue is, if you fear for your life, you can break your fast. That there's no difference of opinion for that, whatever reason it is. حكم المستكره. If you are forcefully fed, or you're forcefully given drink, what is the ruling? A person comes to force you, like what has happened to our brothers in Guantanamo, or I don't know about Guantanamo, I know about Xinjiang in China, the Uyghur. The Uyghurs were taken to re-education camps and forcefully fed, yet they were fasting. What happens to their sawm? Regardless of how much they drink or how much they are forcefully fed, their fasting is sahih and they don't need to repeat that day. Even if they are forcefully fed, whereby they are given the drink or the food, or they have a threat to their life, then they themselves take the cup. Regardless, either they are fed or they feed themselves because of the nature of being forced, then they have no sum to pay. That day is okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِلَّا مَنْ أُكْرِهَ وَقَلْبُهُ مُطْمَئِنٌ بِالْإِيمَانِ. Except the one who is forced into disbelief, but their heart is content with Iman. This issue of ikrah, being forced to do something, has boundaries. As long as that harm does not go to the other person, then you're okay. If you're told, or you've kept in a forceful situation whereby you're told, insult Allah, insult the Prophet, do something to the Quran, eat anything of kufr that we have mentioned in the verse, or something else regarding your ibadah, like eating food or something, there's no harm to you. However, if you're told, kill someone, or I kill you. What do? You can't kill that person because that person has the same right to live like you. Are you together? What if you're told, kill that person or we kill this 10? You're told, kill that person or we kill this 10. What do? If you don't kill that person, I'm going to kill this 10. Or I'm going to kill 10 of your family. You're not allowed to kill. Let him do whatever he's going to do. How sure are you after you kill that person that he's not going to kill the 10? Are you sure? You can kill that person and yet he kills these other people. If you're told to commit an act of zina or rape, even if you're forced, boss, do whatever you want to me, I'm not going to do it. Because that is something that is going to harm another person, you're not allowed. But if it's harming you, you're allowed. This is just for benefit with the issue of al-ikrah. And the final issue, Khanifillah, is the person who is in the jihad fi sabilillah. When you're in a jihad, you're allowed either to fast or to break your fast. It depends on your situation. Sometimes it's better for you to break your fast so you can get strength to fight the enemy. And sometimes you can see there's not much fighting and you continue your fast. But if the commander of the army commands all of you to break your fast, then you must break your fast. And this does not fall into the issue of obeying the creation in disobeying Allah Azza wa Jal. It does not enter to this issue. Because that commander has every right to manage the issue of the war and the battle. And if he sees that the maslahah is for you Muslims to break your fast because we're going to war, we're going to fight, then you must all break your fast. In the next issue, Khanifillah, we shall talk about the issues or the things that break your fast. If you give out blood, does that break your fast? You go donate blood. If you cup, you do hijama, does that break your fast? If you take an injection, you have gone to the hospital, they've given you an injection for antibiotics, does that break your fast? They've given you an injection for insulin, does that break your fast? They've given you nebulization, oxygen, or some medicine for you to open your airways, does that break your fast? We shall look at the issues that break your fast in the month of Ramadan. The questions we have been asked, Khanifillah, what is the ruling on fasting while traveling and shortening prayers? We have said, do not break your fast until you become a traveler. The scholars, majority of the scholars, they say that if you go to a place and you intend to stay for 4 days or more, you're no longer a traveler. The opinion of the majority of the scholars, they say, if you go to a place and you intend or you want to stay for 4 days or more, you're no longer a traveler. You have to pray and act like a resident. So you go to Dubai, for example, you travel from here to Dubai, or you travel from here to Umrah. Umrah is 10 days. That's usually what the days they give us in Nairobi. So they say you're no longer a traveler, you're a resident. You have to fast when you reach Mecca, you have to fast. Only the period of traveling you can break your fast. The period of traveling you can reduce your prayers. But once you reach Mecca, you have to act like a resident. This is the opinion of the vast majority of scholars. But the correct opinion, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, is as long as, Khanifillah, you are known as a traveler in our local, we agree that is a traveler, you are still a musafir, then the rulings of musafir still apply to you. You have gone to Dubai, for example, for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 7 days, and you're all over the place as a traveler. This is I'm saying it's the opinion of the minority, very small minority, whereby you are allowed to take the rulings over musafir. The evidence for this is the Prophet ﷺ, he went to the Battle of Tabuk for 17 days. He went to the Battle of Tabuk for 17 days and he was shortening his prayers. 17 days is more than the 4 days mentioned by the majority of the scholars. We shall take this issue more when you're talking about the book of Salah, inshallah. She's asking, who is she asking? Why is the sajda to tilawa in Surah Sad not performed? The number of sajda, the verses in the Quran, the scholars they say about 15 that you're supposed to perform sujud tilawa. When you reach that particular verse, you perform sujud. If you wish, it's allowed. However, then a number of them they're not agreed upon. Amongst the ones that are not agreed upon is the one for Surah Sad. That's the answer. طيب, Assalamu alaikum. The traveler should start eating when they're out of town, when they already confirmed that they have started the travel. Is it a must to change the name of a person who is newly converted to Islam? No, it's not a must to change the name of a new revert to Islam unless their name is going against Islam or has a bad meaning. Are you together? If someone has a name of a deity, they're called Krishna, for example, or they're called Buddha, or any deities that are worshipped other than Allah Azza wa Jal, or their name is Abdul something, Abdul al-Masih. The Christians, the Arab Christians, you find them, they have Abdul Masih, the slave of the Messiah. Such names must be changed. So any names that conflict with Islam, or any names that have a bad meaning, or a meaning also, the third category is the meaning of a person who is a name that has a lot of praise. Allah says, وَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Do not give that, a name that is showing that you have a high standing with Allah Azza wa Jal. That your name is a name that will give you arrogance or something of that sort. Such names also have to be changed. Such names also have to be changed. When giving out staple food, can it be cooked or can it be raw? It can be both, whichever you prefer. So if you're a person who is going to give fidya, you can call every day, you can feed a person iftar in your house, no problem. You can feed one person, a poor person, you can feed them in your house every day to their field, and they can carry whatever remains to reach the 1.5 kgs, Allah alam. So they can eat food that is cooked, or you can combine all of them one day, maybe on the last day of Ramadan, and you feed 30 people, that's also okay. Or you can give one family 45 kgs of rice or something, but it has to be staple food. So if you give out meat or vegetables, that's just extras that you're given. Now, you can fast. If someone is traveling 10, 16 hours and they want to fast, they can fast. But of course, they'll have to break the fast in the place where the sunset reaches them, be it on the plane or in the place that they're going to. So they have to follow the sunset place of where they are to break their fast. He's asking about paper money, dinar and dirham. Which one is the real money? All of them are counted as money. All of them are money. But if this paper money before used to be based on, they used to have like the dollar, they used to have a matching deposit in gold. But they stopped that. So this paper money is going to be, eventually it's going to end. But it's an issue of fiqh, this is more issue of finance. So if you're a rich person, it's best for you to always keep some of your hard-earned money in either gold or silver or platinum or something that has actual value. Paper money will lose value. You've seen the economy of Venezuela, Argentina, Zimbabwe, and many other countries where the inflation is spiraling out of control because this paper has no value. No. Who else was asking? No, they don't have to be consecutive. You can, the days that you've missed, if you want to pay, you can pay back at your own pace. So I know some sisters, they were pregnant for a number of years, so they had like 90 days, 110 days of Ramadan that they have to pay. So they're just fasting Mondays and Thursdays, with the intention of obligatory Sawm and also the intention of getting the reward that it's a Monday and a Thursday, and they managed to repay all their fasts on that day, or in that manner. Because we have maybe 48 to 50 weeks in a year, Islamic year. So if you remove 4 weeks of Ramadan, you have about 45, 46 weeks. So if 45 weeks, you fast 2 days every week, you'll fast 90 days. So 90 days, it reduces your fast. So some people, you can break like that. you've done something wrong. You should try to your best of your ability to pay your fasting before the next Ramadan reaches. If the time of sunset has reached and you have nothing to break, we mentioned this in the first class, you can break with your intention. You can say, oh Allah, I have broken my fast. And our brothers and our sisters in Gaza right now, also our brothers in Sudan, what they're going through, most of them will have no food this Ramadan. They will be breaking their fast with intention. They will not have any water or drink to break their fast. It's a very good question. You have a relative or a friend that they had some days of Ramadan they did not fast and they died. So the Prophet ﷺ was asked by a lady, what do I do? Prophet ﷺ, he says, Daynullahi ahaqqu bil qada. That the right of Allah, the debt of Allah is more worthy to pay. So, sumu anha. Sumi anha. The Prophet ﷺ, the lady was told, fast for your relative or your mother, I think it was the mother, fast for her. So you can fast for that relative or that friend that passed away, and you know for sure that they had some days that they had not fasted. Now, it's a good question. He's asking about a person who's passed away, for example, who, let's say the mother. Your mother has passed away. Then they have some days of Ramadan that they ought to have paid. Do you pay fidya for them or do you fast for them? My opinion, Ikhwan Fillah, will be that we look at that state of the lady when she died. Was she a person who was able to fast those days? Then you fast for her those days. Was she a person unable to fast those days? She was a person who could give fidya. Then you give fidya. So it depends on the state of the person when they died. Is that okay?
It's okay, but there's no option. It's one of them.
Yes. You can fast for them. Unless it's difficult for you or you find it troublesome, then you can feed. But it's best to follow the state of the person. If the person owed Ramadan 5 days, 10 days, or a whole month, fast for them. If they're able to fast and they died, they were able to fast, they had that intention to fast, then fast for them. But they were not able to fast, they were old, for example. They were paying fidya, or they were paying fidya or something. Or they were very sick or something, then you pay fidya. Now, last final 2 questions. Now, Muhammad, if they are not able to fast and they're not able to pay the fidya, then that obligation falls on them. They actually end up in a situation where they're the ones who will be getting food, or they'll be getting the fidya food, because they'll fall in the category of masakin and fuqara. So they will not have that obligation. Last question. You can when it comes to Mondays and Thursdays and the Ayyamul Bid, you can have more than one niyyah. You can have more than one intention. So you can have the intention of fasting on Monday, and you can also have the intention of fasting an obligatory fast that you missed. So those are days you can combine. Like Arafah, you cannot combine. Arafah has a specific reason, it's the day of Arafah. So you cannot fast Arafah and paying an obligation. You cannot fast Ashura and paying an obligation. But the first 8 days, day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of Dhul Hijjah, you can combine intentions. You can fast because it's the blessed days of Dhul Hijjah, and you can also fast with the intention that you're paying the obligatory fast. Is that understood? You must have the intention of obligation. It's not a must for the sunnah, but you're a smart person if you combine both intentions. It's like when you enter the mosque for Fajr. The best salah, one of the best salahs is the 2 sunnah or the 2 before Fajr. But you can combine that intention of Sunnah al-Fajr and also with Tahiyyat al-Masjid. You can get the ajr of Sunnah al-Fajr and Tahiyyat al-Masjid. Understood? But the better, I know you're smiling, the better is to pray the Sunnah al-Fajr in your house. That's even best. But now these days, mashallah, it comes the situation, one of the sheikhs was asked in Algeria, what do I do? If I insist on praying the Sunnah in the house after the adhan, then I reach the mosque, I'll find myself in the 3rd or 4th saf. Even in Nairobi, many mosques in Nairobi, you can come, even Masjid Salam here, you come sometimes, you find people are already here at 4:30, 4:40, 4:50. Isli, you got some mosque, 3 o'clock, 3:30, people have started filling the mosque. So what do you do in such a situation? Go research that. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.